The Grind, a Minnesota sports podcast.
Welcome into The Grind, a Minnesota sports podcast. And if you have any doubts or questions whether or not it's a grind being a Minnesota sports fan, just take a look at what happened a few days ago in Minnesota when the Minnesota Twins owners changed their mind and decided, no, we're not going to sell the team, even though MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred just said something is going to get done. What a load of crap. But today is not a load of crap. Today is an exciting day. Today's a new day, a fresh day, a day to get better, a day to get stronger. And J.J. McCarthy has his best practice as a Minnesota Vikings quarterback yesterday against the New England Patriots in joint practices. So that's what we're going to discuss today. J.J. McCarthy's dominance in joint practices. But first, let me tell you about 5-Star Bath Solutions of Minneapolis, because they transformed our bathroom in 48 hours, our entire thing. From new floors to a new bathtub, they got rid of our mold in our shower, a new surround, shower heads, got rid of a step going into the shower. We went from a single to a double sink, a new vanity mirror. Our entire bathroom was remodeled in 48 hours by 5-Star Bath Solutions of Minneapolis. They do big projects, they do small projects, but their guarantee is that it will be done in 24 to 48 hours. Don't cram into your teeny tiny bathroom for 8 weeks when 5-Star Bath Solutions of Minneapolis can take care of your project in less time, and it will be done right. 5-Star Bath Solutions of Minneapolis. They offer free consultations and affordable payment plans. 5-Star Bath Solutions of Minneapolis. Get your project done in 48 hours, not 8 weeks. Okay. McCarthy was dialed against the New England Patriots in joint practices. I follow many Vikings reporters on social media. The Kevin Seiferts, the Will Raggets, the Ben Gesslings, the Purple Persuasion, which is the best. And they were just dialed. McCarthy having his best practice. Kevin O'Connell on J.J. McCarthy's strong day. It felt decisive, incredible amount of conviction to some of the decisions he made, location of the football. Yesterday, J.J. McCarthy missed his share of passes, Kevin Seifert says. Today, he was pretty much lights out. Asked how he thinks of his accuracy and himself as a thrower in general, he said in part, I think I'm one of the most accurate guys out there. McCarthy's numbers, according to Greg Bedard, 15 for 19, 4 touchdowns, 2 sacks taken, 2 scrambles, 0 interceptions. J.J. McCarthy shreds Patriots defense. McCarthy outperforming May. Diana Rossini in front and center at Vikings training camp watching J.J. McCarthy dealing. Kevin Seifert again. This has been McCarthy's sharpest practice to date. Over and over and over again. McCarthy is just receiving the love and compliments from Minnesota Vikings reporters. And my reaction to this is twofold. There's a few things that strike me when discussing McCarthy's practice against the Patriots yesterday. One, the first thing that strikes me is McCarthy hasn't played competitive football for practically a year. Some OTA stuff, some mandatory OTA stuff, but he has not had competitive training camp reps or in-game reps for basically a year. And because it's been a year, it's going to take him some time to feel acclimated, to get comfortable, to get the touch and feel back. The dude is rusty, or was rusty. So that's where my mind goes at first. McCarthy, when you haven't done something for so long, whether it be anything, whether it be football, work, working out, whatever. If you try to do something and you haven't done it for 365 days or about that, then when you return for the first time, things are not going to be as crisp as you hope. Now, with that being said, McCarthy dominated practice yesterday, which tells me that the rustiness or the rust factor that he was battling through preseason and training camp action is leaving. And he can put together performances like this. So going forward, we should see more performances like this in McCarthy's practice. Because up until this point, what we've seen is McCarthy, he had a great day, he had a bad day. He had a good day, he had a poor day. He sucked, he played great. That's all we've seen reported about McCarthy until this time in practice. And what I want to see next is some more consistent performances of McCarthy locating the football where he needs to locate the ball. I want to see more consistent performances of his arm strength, of him moving around in the pocket, of him dominating practice, of him putting the ball on time and on target. And we can give him a pass for not throwing the ball for over a year in a competitive setting. But if he's going to put together performances like this in practice, then his rust must be wearing off because he's capable of doing things like this. So if he's capable of doing things like this, then this is what we should expect more often in practice. Because here's the problem with McCarthy's up and downs in practice. If you're down in practice or up in practice, it's not going to get any easier during the games. You don't perform poorly on the driving range and then go dominate a golf tournament. It's the exact opposite. Typically, what happens is you dominate the driving range. You ask any golfer, and it's the exact same question. You dominate on the driving range. You're hitting great shots. You get to the first tee, and you suck. Because of the pressure, the moment, it's intimidating, it's scary, there's more at stake, then you suck. The question that everyone asks is, how can I take my driving range to the golf course? That's the number one question golfers ask. That isn't about their golf swing. How can I take what I do on the driving range over to the golf course? And same thing with free throws. Larry Bird would make 300 free throws in a row in a practice setting. His career free throw percentage was 88.6. During an in-game setting, Larry Bird would go 9 of 10 from the free throw line. But in practice, he would make 300 straight free throws. Your body performs differently. It acts differently in a high-stake environment. And it always does worse. So when I saw these ups and downs, it's like, well, it's not going to get any better. He's not going to go from being down in practice to tearing up the Chicago Bears defense in week 1. So what I want to see more of is McCarthy dominating practice. Because, yes, he dominated practice against the Patriots, but his domination against the Patriots isn't going to look the same way against the Bears. You play great in practice, and then you play good during the game. You play bad in practice, and there's no way you're going to play good during a game. The saying that my family has lived by in the sports world is, you practice like crap, you play like crap. And it's true. If you are practicing like crap, you don't go to a game and then all of a sudden perform really, really well. So what I want to see now is McCarthy taking this great practice, reported by everybody, and do it again. Take another step in that direction. I don't want to see another down day of practice, because through this point, he's been inconsistent. He's been up, he's been down. I just want to see him maintain a level of consistency that reflects the day that he had against the New England Patriots. Because if he goes back to having a bad day, then I'm not going to be super hopeful that he's going to tear up the regular season, because it's not going to get any easier when the actual games start. It's going to get harder. The Minnesota Vikings had some injuries again in yesterday's practice, and one of them was to a significant player, considering the circumstances. But first, let me tell you about Hochland Farms beef, because Hochland Farms beef has 100% rotationally grazed grass-fed beef. We cooked some up yesterday. We got a chuck roast going today for about $4 a pound. You go to the grocery store for the same stuff, and you're looking at $5 to $6 a pound for hamburger beef. And you're looking at about like $9 to $10 a pound for steaks and chuck roasts. Hochland Farm beefs have steak, chuck roast, ribs, all of it for about $4 a pound. Contact Hochland Farms at 952-491-1541. It financially makes the most sense. Plus, it's the best for you. If you cook up grocery store meat, the amount of fat that lives inside that meat is absurd. Yesterday, when we were cooking up grass-fed beef, there's hardly any fat in the pan, because it's real beef. It's the good stuff. There's no preservatives and extra fat in this kind of garbage. It's the good stuff. It's the healthy stuff. Contact Jared at 952-491-1541. That's 952-491-1541. And he'll give you 10% off your first order if you tell him Tim sent you. Okay. A significant injury to the Minnesota Vikings yesterday. And not because he's a significant player necessarily, but because it's a significant situation. Jalen Naylor had a hand injury that needs to be evaluated today, which tells me it's more than a little owie. Tells me that it's more than nothing if it's being evaluated. And with his injury comes concern, because he is wide receiver 2, but option 3. Jefferson option 1, Hawkinson option 2, Jalen Naylor option 3. While Jordan Addison is injured and suspended and unavailable to play. So, with that being said, all of a sudden the Minnesota Vikings find themselves in a sticky situation. Odell Beckham Jr. is on the market and is available to sign with any team and wants to play another year. Has familiarity in Kevin O'Connell's system with him being a part of the Los Angeles Rams Super Bowl winning roster. And at this point in time, I don't know how you don't consider Odell Beckham Jr. And you're not bringing in Odell Beckham Jr. to be the one-handed snagger that he was with the Giants or that he was with the Cleveland Browns. Last year, Odell played 9 games. He was targeted 18 times. He had 9 catches for 55 yards. Pretty poor season. Hardly did anything. Had 0 touchdowns. But the year before with Baltimore, he played 14 games, started 6 games, was targeted 64 times, had 35 catches, 3 touchdowns for 565 yards. And that's the kind of production that you would ask of Odell Beckham Jr. You're not asking him to be a dominant wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 3. You're asking him to make the occasional catch. And there was some reports that Minnesota Vikings wide receiver, reported by Jason Harmon, who is a Vikings content creator. There's a white wide receiver 4. I want to say it's like Jordan Thamer or something along those lines. He posted some videos consistently. He had a good day at practice yesterday. He caught some touchdowns and caught some passes. Another McCarthy to Thayer toss. Thomas doing a lot of work with the first team. Thomas Thayer. Okay, so maybe it's Thomas Thayer. Maybe Thomas Thayer takes the role of Jalen Nailor. But the Minnesota Vikings better feel confident about Thomas Thayer or confident that Jalen Nailor will return by week 1. Or they better look elsewhere and highly consider their options in free agency, because time is running out to consider those things. You don't want to bring Odell Beckham Jr. in the week of the matchup against the Chicago Bears. You want to bring him in now and get familiar with J.J. McCarthy and reacclimate himself into Kevin O'Connell's offensive system, which he hasn't participated in for a few seasons. So it's something the Vikings need to weigh right now. Do you have confidence that Nailor will be back? That Thomas Thayer can step up and be a wide receiver 3 if Nailor isn't going to be back? Or do you want to bring in somebody else? Whether it's Odell Beckham Jr. or somebody else. But either way, when they evaluate Jalen Nailor, that decision needs to be made soon. Because preseason game number 2 is coming up. McCarthy's not going to play, but you want this wide receiver that you could bring in via free agency to start participating in practice. And maybe you want to do that regardless. Because if Jefferson or Nailor or Hockenson goes down in week 1, 2, or 3, you want someone within that could step in immediately. You don't want to have to sign a guy off the street on a Tuesday to get ready for a Sunday game. So maybe it's in the Vikings' best case scenario to sign a wide receiver now so that they can get familiar with the scheme and comfortable with McCarthy throwing him the ball. So things the Vikings need to consider and really weigh right now, because time is running out to sign a free agent receiver and have him ready. You can sign a receiver whenever you want, but to have him ready and up to speed, that's when time is running out. Thanks for joining the show today. Thanks for making this podcast part of your day. Remember to check out 5-Star Bath Solutions of Minneapolis for your bathroom needs. 48 hours, bathroom remodeled. And Hochland Farms Beef, 952-491-1541. That's 952-491-1541 for 100% rotationally grazed grass-fed beef.